Hey there guys, Fear Atomic here, and today's video will be talking about 10 action anime shows that I recommend you guys to watch. Note that these anime shows are just my own opinion, so if you do not agree with a video or anime show that I recommend here, you don't have to watch or agree with me at all, okay? Anyways, let's get right into it, shall we? Potential spoilers though. Coming in at number 10. Parasite. Parasite was ultimately a good action-based anime that includes parasites, or worms I should say, that try to take over the brains of living animals in modern-day Earth. Eventually, protagonist Izumi Shinchi later discovers that a parasite named Migi has taken over his arm. Well, together, they fought other parasites that controlled humans and animals alike, basically trying to protect the people from being turned into monsters, as shown in these clips. I overall liked the storyline and setting that took place, but I felt that maybe there could be some certain character development, such as the experimental parasites. Like, come on, how are they made into experimental parasites? Is there a background of how they turn into experimental parasites, maybe? But overall, if you're looking for some science fiction with some intense action to watch, this is recommended from my opinion to maybe add to your watch list. Except if you are the type who is disgusted of seeing blood and dismembered body parts. Blech. Number 9. Aldnoah Zero. Aldnoah Zero is an action military sci-fi based anime that is about humans fighting against humans from Mars called Verse. In mechna suits. While it sounds a little fishy as to why there are humans on Mars, the sole reason is that scientists discovered an ancient superpower technology on the planet that is far superior than the technology we currently have today, which is making some people decide, oh, let's not live here on Earth and start living on Mars because of this superpower technology discovered there. Eventually then, they form a group called the Verse Empire. The Verse Empire then declare war on Earth, essentially fighting for world domination in mechna suits that contains the ancient superpower discovered. Protagonist Inaho Kaizuka then decides to join in the war, and fights against the Verse Empire mechna suits with a training mechna suit issued to trainees. Damn, I wish we had these kind of suits today. Aldnoah Zero is by far very interesting with some neat composed music by Hiroyuki Sawano. In total, there was 2 seasons created, each 12 episodes long. One that talks about what happened to everyone on Earth, and the other half taking place in space and post-apocalyptic Earth. The only flaw of Aldnoah Zero is simply just the character development. Although there's like 20 or so characters that were introduced that has a specific role, most of the time maybe about 12 to 14 characters are more focused on than the others. Well, anyways, if you like fighting all the robotic war machines such as Gundam, this is a good choice if you got 9 hours to spare. And now number 8, Gate, Jitai Kanochi Nite Kaku Takakaili. This anime has somewhat attracted many viewers, classifying Gate as a popular mainstream anime. Gate is a story of a medieval-like army that invades Japan from a portal called the Gate, which appeared in the middle of Ginza. The Japan Self-Defense Force, or the JSDF for short, responded immediately and wiped out the medieval army that invaded Ginza. Soon enough, the JSDF decided to go and explore this parallel world that opened up. As they made it through the gate, they decided to create an FOB, or Forward Operating Base, so they can operate in the special region. Protagonist Yoji Itami leads a small squad of soldiers, the 3rd Recon Unit, to go investigate the special region, in which he meets Rory Mercury, a 963-year-old demi-goddess, Tuka Luna Maliku, a 165-year-old elf, and Lele La Relena, a 15-year-old magician. They also meet Pina Colada, a female knight who is part of the Special Regions Empire. My take on Gate is that it has a good genre mix of military, action, and comedy. Gate, in my opinion, was good, as it managed to grab the viewer's attention to wanting more and more of Gate. The storyline, though, has some small flaws, but it uses the characters in action to make up for the small gaps in this adaptation. I recommend this to anyone who has a taste for a medieval modern crossover, looking for some funny and silly situations, and UH-60s making bombardment runs over castles. I mean, that's cool, right? Number 7. Toaru Majitsu no Index. An alternative timeline of our current world, where magic and science exists, is a city called Academy City, where there's nothing but talented students and people with higher up jobs live. With technology that is 10 years ahead of the world, Academy City is the best of the best, with a tree diagram that predicts everything, from the legal process of cloning 20,000 humans that will be used for mass destruction. Experiment. Fuck. That's a spoiler. Well, anyways, back to the topic. We have the protagonist Tomo Kamijo, who has a special power that blocks out any supernatural power. Index, who is apparently a nun that encounters Toma, has the power to use 103,000 forbidden magical books. And we got Misaka Mikoto, a deadly and badass girl whose specialty is electricity, and well known for the infamous railgun weapon that she possesses. But we'll talk about that in a different video. Toaru Majitsu is pretty much unique, with a supernatural sci-fi action-based adaptation that will make it stand out from other animes, mostly for the confliction between science and magic, which is technically described as religion. Overall, I can certainly say that the storyline is good, with some gaps that need to be filled, and deserves to maybe at least finish off with the final animation season or arc, with the third fictional war taking place. With 24 episodes and 24 additional episodes and a 2-hour length movie, this is a great work created by Kazuma Kamachi. I do give warning about this anime though. If you're a religious believer, like a believer of the Catholic Church, please be aware that there may be some offending things said and done that might make you disturbed, or cursing about how biased and incorrect this anime might portray about religious people. Here's number 6. これは zombie desu ka? What do you think? A human that has turned into a zombie can turn into a magical girl and is able to fight? Interesting, huh? Well, in this comedy-filled fan-servicey action anime, we have Aimu Aikawa, the zombie that gets himself in silly and odd situations where he would transfer into a magical girl with the power stolen from an actual magical girl named Halina. He is later resurrected by an underworld god named U, giving him the power to at least live without dying. Later, he gets challenged by a vampire ninja, Seraphine, and becomes Aimu's servant, hoping to change Yu's mind of having both resurrected Aimu and making him a guardian. It's a funny anime overall, with silly action and awkward situations. I do give warning that this is NSFW for people who like to watch anime at school, work, or yeah. Number 5. Trinity 7. Trinity 7 is a funny fantasy action adaptation that talks about a high schooler, Kazuga Arata, who enrolls in a magic academy called Royal Biblia Academy. He meets 7 female magic users who help Arata to start learning on how to both use and control magic to rescue his only cousin, Hijiri Kazuga. His grimoire, who is a magic book, knows how to copy magic and allow Arata to use the magic copied to his advantage. He later learns that he can create worlds based upon his wishes. Trinity 7 features lots of magic, maybe some badass characters, and some awkward situations. If you're into anime magic and I guess the Harlem type, this is something you might want to watch. Though I don't know why it's on my list. Number 4. Assassination Classroom. Assassination Classroom is another hilarious action-based anime that has a class full of students trying to assassinate their teacher, Koro Sensei, by March, which is graduation day in Japan. With anti-Koro Sensei air pellets and knives issued by the Japanese government, the students decided that they will attempt to kill him and receive the bounty reward offered, 10 billion yen, which is actually 100 million USD dollars. The students of Class 3E, were given this task because of Koro Sensei, who wanted to teach students. It was also a perfect location since Class 3E is isolated on top of a mountain. It's overall unique because who doesn't want a teacher that will be aid with you, helping with your strengths and weakness of subjects, and not only that, can go up to Mach 20. That's really fast for any vehicle to be traveling at. With a sturdy storyline, good line of characters that aren't left out, and comedious action, Assassination Classroom will become a favorite in no time. Unless you can't stand a teacher who is a yellow octopus. Number 3. Toaru Hikuushi no Tsuioku. What is this anime mostly about, you might ask? Well, it's an action animation movie that talks about the story of a young ace pilot who was given the task of transporting a future princess 12,000 kilometers across hostile sea to another continent. The ace pilot, Charles Kalila, is the complete opposite of about to be Princess Juana del Moral. He is normally segregated from the other ace pilots and gets discriminated by his peers. As he flies Juana, he later reveals that his mother used to work in Juana's mansion, including himself. Juana then doesn't feel that it was right for Charles to be experiencing the discrimination he experiences, and hopes one day when she becomes a princess, she can lead her country without racism and replace it all with happiness. It's pretty much bittersweet, with the storyline pretty much clear, and reveals the importance of why racism is in fact bad. Anyone who has a passion for aerial dogfights, bittersweet scenes, and planes will enjoy this movie. Number 2. Space Battleship Yamato Resurrection. What could be more badass than seeing the legendary Yamato class battleship fight in space? Well, the Space Battleship Yamato Resurrection is part of the same storyline, Space Battleship Yamato 2199, but takes place in 2220. It's a movie that talks about humans relocating to another Earth-like planet, Amari, that is 27,000 light years away from Earth. The humans were relocating because of a black hole that was predicted to move through the solar system, completely wiping out any traces of life. As the humans were being relocated, they get attacked by an alliance called the SUS, that were deceived into thinking that the humans were trying to invade, not relocate. The Yamato then protects the immigration fleet from the SUS and manages to reach Amare, but was under attack by the SUS. As the SUS were pushed back, the Yamato and the rest of the available escort fleet decided to put an end of the SUS and fought against the Alliance. After the battle, the Yamato makes its way back to Earth to protect the last immigration fleet evacuating from Earth. Yamato Resurrection is a great favorite of mine, as it features the legendary Yamato, the world's largest battleship ever built, and futuristic space battles that we might have, unfortunately, in the future. I would note that you should watch Space Battleship Yamato 2199 just to get a summary of who the characters are and what happened before 2220. And my top number 1 action anime that I recommend is Zipang. Zipang is the story of a JDS warship, Mirai ID DDG-182, that gives time traveled back to 1942, when World War II erupted between the Axis and the Allies. The Mirai first come across an unnamed ship fleet in the thick fog, with one of them the Yamato, some Nagata-class battleships, and 2 destroyers soon were discovered on their radars. They eventually evaded capture from the unnamed fleet and came across the Battle of Midway, an important and strategic island for both the Imperial Japanese and the Americans. As the Mirai sails back to its starting route Yokosuka, they encounter a sinking courier plane with an Imperial Navy personnel on board. Despite the objections and debate whether the personnel should be rescued, Yosuke Karamatsu jumps in to save the Navy personnel, who was later revealed to be Takumi Kusaka. After rescuing Takumi, everyone on board the Mirai knew that they were going to change history, eventually leading to the devastating and dramatic changes in the timeline, due to Kusaka, who learned everything of what happened in the future, seeking for a stronger Japan. Zipang is a strong storyline that continues to explain every character with their roles, and makes you want to watch more for the action. You can kind of see why I enjoy Zipang, since it has a World War II history timeline, and crossovers with history in the future. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and are looking forward for some more similar content like this in the future. If you have any suggestions on what I should do or talk about next, feel free to leave it in the comments section below. This is Fury Atomic, and I'll see you guys all later.